Donald Trump's very public cognitive and physical decline is becoming impossible to ignore. And yet, Republicans are pushing a new narrative that Trump never sleeps, that he's always working, full of endless energy. But let's be real. What does he actually do with it? We know he's online at all hours posting. We know he spends his days eating fast food and watching Fox. And we know he disappears to golf more often than not. Meanwhile, it's his allies who do the actual work of dismantling democracy. But the one thing Trump truly seems focused on just got blown up, ruining his golf trip and sparking a complete posting meltdown that we're going to break down. Before we do, though, I'd appreciate it if you could like this video, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It really helps support the channel. Now, before we dig into why Trump's golf day went south, let's start with the news that Robert Garcia just delivered.
This upcoming week, we have actually many of the victims of Jeffrey Epstein coming to Capitol Hill. We're meeting with them. They're talking to lawmakers. We're going to highlight their stories. We've got to center these victims. And I'll just say one other piece of news that actually just developed in the last couple hours is we finally got word from the Epstein estate. They're going to be providing the actual Epstein book, that famous book where that note that Donald Trump drew and doodled to Jeffrey Epstein, his so-called best friend of 10 to 15 years. The Epstein estate is actually going to now get us that book and a bunch of other documents that they have that's actually not been reported yet, reporting it here for the first time. We're going to get those documents as we understand it now on September the 8th. And so that will continue our investigation. And again, we ask the question, where are the rest of the documents? What is Pam Bondi hiding? What is Donald Trump hiding? And the cover-up. Let's get to the truth.
That reporting in the Wall Street Journal about the sketch of a naked woman and an imagined dialogue between him and...
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Now more than ever, we need to keep the focus on the Epstein files. Donald Trump and Speaker Mike Johnson sent Congress home for more than a month, hoping that by the time they returned, the media would be distracted or the story would fade away. Maybe some outlets moved on, but we haven't. This issue matters because it's a class issue. Trump is once again protecting himself and shielding wealthy elites, the well-connected, and those tied to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. It's not just about Trump. It's about a network of powerful people who abuse their status and are desperate to keep the truth buried. And while Trump ignores all of that, he spends his time melting down online, something Gavin Newsom has been more than happy to highlight. That's the context we need to remember before diving into Trump's latest posting spree.
As far as the Gavin Newsom of it all, he is not imitating him. He is mocking him. He is holding up a mirror to what Donald Trump does and how he communicates, how ridiculous these 3.5-hour-long North Korean-style cabinet meetings are.
Why was that ridiculous? You can't just say ridiculous and not say why.
Okay, if I came to a meeting, if your team for Gutfeld sat around, right, and you said, I have this idea for a joke, and they said, I've never met a funnier man than Greg Gutfeld. I think Greg Gutfeld is the funniest person.
But you don't have to watch it.
What?
No, that's voluntary. My point is, if you watch that, you learned stuff about what was going in the White House in 3.5 hours that you never would, but you're mad because they're flattering him.
I'm not mad. I'm saying that it is a particular style that most people would say most likely resembles things that go on in Russia, North Korea, or China, not in a Western democracy.
The style.
Okay. No, also the substance
but God
of
forbid
it.
The style.
All right.
I love that Republicans still don't get it. It is really confirmation to me that they live in an alternate reality. And very clearly, their politics, as I always say, are petty. They're personal. They're tied up in their own feelings, what they want. And that has been the Donald Trump presidency, at least presidency part 2. It's just kind of him acting on his feelings. And his feelings lately have been he feels like he needs to make the White House uglier. Whether it's a new ballroom, gaudy gold in the Oval Office, or Trump destroying the Rose Garden, which is the reason he had one of his strangest meltdowns yet on Truth Social today. I used at the White House the most beautiful marble and stone available anywhere. Surfaces are very important to me as a builder. As everyone knows, I built many great buildings and other things over the years. At the White House, I am very proud of the beautiful stonework we did in the Rose Garden, in this case, using limestone. Plus, the Rose Garden is completed and far more beautiful than anyone had in mind when it was conceived of decades ago. 3 days ago, while admiring the stonework, I happened to notice a huge gash in the limestone that extended more than 25 yards long. It was deep and nasty. I started yelling, "Who did this? And I want to find out now." And I didn't say this in a nice manner. I wondered, was it vandalism or was it stupidity? Lo and behold, because of the fact that we've installed the finest security equipment anywhere, they brought back the stupid people with their boss watching in sunglasses. It was a subcontractor that was installing heavy landscaping on a steel cart that was broken and tilting badly with it rubbing against the soft, beautiful stone. I love and respect great workers and contractors, but something like this should never happen. Now I'll replace the stone, charge the contractor, and never let the contractor work at the White House again. But how great is the video equipment? We caught them cold. Make America great again. The President of the United States is using his platform to attack a contractor over a simple mishap. Really? That's what he's focused on? Let's remember, this is the same Donald Trump who encouraged people to storm the Capitol, break windows, assault police officers, and desecrate the very building he now pretends to care so much about. If he was fine with Confederate flags being carried through the halls of Congress, then spare us the outrage over minor damage to stonework. This is what defines his presidency: obsession with appearances, renaming things, putting up flagpoles, covering everything in tacky gold while ignoring real crises. Meanwhile, lives are being lost. Children in classrooms, families impacted by preventable diseases, and civilians abroad in places like Gaza where U.S. tax dollars are fueling tragedy. It's embarrassing, it's corrupt, and it shows just how hollow this administration really is. The distractions are endless, but the damage is real. And nowhere is that clearer than in the pseudoscience being pushed by RFK Jr., something Chris Hayes recently broke down perfectly. Let's take a listen.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Tonight, the ongoing standoff at the Centers for Disease Control continues as career scientists protest the destruction of what is a foundational part of our shared safety, the American public health infrastructure. This was the scene outside CDC headquarters in Atlanta just a few hours ago, when dozens and dozens of staffers staged a clap-out in support of those top officials who resigned en masse this week to resist the dangerous crank trying to force changes to our health system. Now, from the start, it was clear, at least to a lot of us, that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would use his position as Donald Trump's Director of Health and Human Services to dismantle the public health system as we know it. The latest example is his attempt to force out Susan Monterez, the head of the CDC, less than a month into her tenure after he selected her and she was confirmed by the Senate, forcing her out over disagreements on his attempts to restrict access to the COVID vaccines as well as others. Now, Monterez insists she's not going anywhere yet, that she actually hasn't legally been fired by the president, but Kennedy has already lined up her replacement, his close aide, a guy named Jim O'Neill, who is an associate of, get this, billionaire Trump backer Peter Thiel. As a result, a number of top CDC officials announced their resignations in solidarity with their boss, Monterez. With one, Dr. Jen Layden, who will join me in a moment, writing in her resignation letter, quote, "Everyone should have a professional true north," and encouraging her staff not to lose sight of theirs. And so today, employees signaled their own true north at the center's headquarters in Atlanta, where some of the resigning leaders were met with cheers and adulation. They were literally given their flowers by a grateful crowd. These are not Democratic Party activists or progressive thought leaders. Rather, these are career public health professionals who have spent years, if not decades, committed to the goal of curbing the spread of disease and making America a healthier country. In remarks to the crowd, three of the resigning officials spoke about how crucial an independent CDC is.
What makes CDC great are the people that make CDC up, the scientists, everyone that makes this family. You are the people that protect America. And America needs to see that you are the people that protect America. And we are going to be your loudest advocates.
What makes us great at CDC is following the science. And so let's get the politics out of public health. Objectivity and let the science lead us, because that's how we get to the best decisions for public health.
We need Congress to intervene. We need our appropriations. We need to follow science. We need to have ethics back. All of these scientists, like Dimitri and Dion said, are doing the work on the ground. We need to be able to do it without interference and following data and science.
This is the Trump administration. It isn't just embarrassing. It's dangerous. Every single day, the focus is on petty vanity projects and distractions while lives are being lost, while corruption and chaos take over. And the worst part is he doesn't even care. That's the reality we're living in. Thanks for watching this video, and if you stuck around at the end, you can drop the blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I will see you soon.